Welcome to one of the most easily twisted and easily misunderstood stories of the American Revolution. This is the Boston Massacre. It was a very deadly riot on March 5th, 1770 on King Street in Boston. Now, angry about the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts, a mob of patriots attacked a known loyalist store on February 22nd. Customs officer Ebenezer Richardson lived near the store and tried to break up the rock-pelting crowd by firing his gun through a window of his home. His gunfire struck and killed an 11-year-old boy named Christopher Sider and further enraged the patriots. Killed an 11-year-old boy. Several days later, a fight broke out between the local workers and British soldiers. It ended without serious bloodshed, but helped set the stage for the far more bloody incident yet to come. On the frigid, snowy evening of March 5th, 1770, Private Hugh White was the only soldier guarding the king's money stored inside the custom house on King Street. It wasn't long before angry colonists joined him and insulted him and threatened violence. At some point, White fought back and struck a colonist with his bayonet. In retaliation, the colonists pelted him with snowballs, ice, and stones. Bells started ringing throughout the town, usually a warning of fire, which sent a mass of male colonists into the street. There was no fire department back then. If the bells went off and there was a fire, every man in the city was supposed to, by law, leave whatever it is they're doing and go help fight the fire. Because you're going to pass buckets of water to be thrown on the fire. There wasn't really a whole lot to do other than manpower, bucket, water, throw it on the fire. As the assault on White continued, he eventually fell and called out for reinforcements. In response to White's plea and fearing mass riots and loss of the king's money, Captain Thomas Preston arrived on the scene with several soldiers and took up a defensive position in front of the custom house. Worried that bloodshed was inevitable, some colonists reportedly pleaded with the soldiers to hold their fire, as others dared them to shoot. On one hand, you're a soldier, and you're looking into this crowd of angry people, and some of the people in this crowd are begging you, please, please, your gun is pointed right at me. Please, please, please do not shoot that gun. Please don't shoot. Please don't shoot. Others begging you to shoot. Fire that gun. See what happens. Take the shot. They throw rocks at you, snowballs with rocks inside. You're being pelted, pounded. You got a cut on your forehead. Your shoulder is sore from the rock that slammed into it. Please don't shoot. Please, please shoot. It's confusing. It was loud and chaotic. Preston later reported that a colonist told him the protesters planned to carry off White from his post and probably murder him. The violence escalated and the colonists struck the soldiers with clubs and sticks. Reports differ on exactly what happened next, but after someone supposedly said the word fire, a soldier fired his gun, although it's unclear if the discharge was intentional. They're scared, they're shaking, they're hurting. They've had things thrown at them. They've had insults thrown at them. They've had people beg them not to shoot, and they've had people beg them to shoot. And then someone imitates the sound of the officer in charge of them, Captain Preston. Someone imitates the same kind of command that would be given if he wanted him to fire, and yells out, "Fire!" And someone either intentionally says, you know what, I've had enough of this, bam, or was so scared that they accidentally pulled the trigger. We'll never know. But either way, when that first shot was fired, the rest of the soldiers, they all fired too. Once the first shot rang out, other soldiers opened fire, killing 5 colonists, including Crispus Attucks, an African American, a local dock worker of mixed racial heritage, and wounding 6. Crispus Attucks is known as the first grown man to be killed in the Revolutionary War, if you consider this part of the Revolutionary War. Some historians do, some don't. Some say that this is still leading up to it. Some say this is the original shots. Most say that the first shots of the real war happened later, and that this was a massacre, a crime committed by the British. Among the other casualties of the Boston Massacre was Samuel Gray, a rope maker who was shot in the head. A sailor, James Caldwell, was hit twice before he'd also died. Samuel Maverick and Patrick Carr were also mortally wounded. Boston Massacre was deadly. And it happened because of the Townshend Acts, even though they were asked to be repealed on the same day it happened. The Townshend Acts came about after the Quartering Act and the Stamp Act flustered everyone up, and everyone got angry about it. And all it did was feed the fire. A fire that's going to lead to the birth of a nation.